Hey everybody, this is Young Living Diamond Sarah Harnish. I'm the author of Unstuck and Game Plan and Fearless, Confidence with Essential Oils in 2 hours. For those of you watching live, I'm sorry that I'm running a little bit behind. We've had some humzinger storms outside and, no, we don't want to run a scheduled scan on my computer right now. I haven't actually been able to get on because it's just been lightning, and power outages. We're under a severe thunderstorm warning, and there's hail and all sorts of stuff. So I keep looking out our windows because the lightning is just bam, 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 bam. So forgive me for being a few minutes behind. I'm going to honor your guys' clock today, and we're just going to keep it a little tighter so that you guys aren't on quite as late for those that are live. All right. If you are on the page, on the Facebook page, I'm running a contest every single night. And so as soon as this video is done, I'm going to pop on. I'm going to pull some contest winners from last night, and I'm going to post the contest for today, all right? We are studying the book Fearless. And the reason I'm studying Fearless is because, guys, we have so many good things going for us in Young Living right now. We've got Silverbound. We got Bridge to Gold. We got, if you're watching after 6 months, I don't know if those programs are still going, but right now they're going. And we have an amazing comp plan in Young Living, phenomenal comp plan. And so the only way you rank up, though, is by teaching classes. And the only way you keep your team is by training Essential Rewards, by building that residual income into your business. And so what I'm going to do is train out of Fearless. This is the book that I give people when I first give them the starter kit, because one of the big things I hear from my people that are zeros, which means they place their order and then they never order again, is, oh, I didn't use my kit. Oh, it just sat on a shelf. I never broke it out, or I used the one thing I actually want out of the kit and I don't really know how to use the rest of it. And so there's a couple things going on when that happens. Number one, they have not been trained in a clean living lifestyle. Number two, they don't understand the why behind oiling. Like they really, truly, nobody sat down and explained to them deeply why. Number three, they don't know they need it. So maybe that comes down to training them on the reference guides or getting them to break out some of those oils in the kit that they have never used before just to see how they feel. So those are the main reasons that I see it. And Fearless conquers all of that stuff. It gets them playing with everything in their kit. It explains the why behind oiling to them. It gets them to process and understand a Young Living lifestyle and process and understand a clean living lifestyle too, because that matters also, all right? So this is what I give them right away, right off the bat. And we just revamped it because of Unstuck, which just came out. So there's some things in here that are updated because of the Unstuck book, like building 3-month ER wish lists with your brand new member. That's built right into the back of Fearless now. So you can grab their book, write their member number right on the inside, their PIN, all the things. And then in the back, when you're doing follow-up with them, write down what they want. And put down the item numbers for it and show them how to log into the virtual office and how to place an Essential Rewards order. So having this book as a tool to do some of that training for you is really good. Because guys, there's only so much you can train in one class. There's only so much they're going to retain in one class. When they take something home and they read it, it's using a totally different part of their brain. Completely different. And the nice thing about Fearless is it's not overwhelming. It is like the most approachable, simple, little $1 book to just pour into your brand new member and say, listen, it's okay. Like, it's all right to take this in baby steps. You do not need to feel like you got to jump and be all in right now. But in the same breath, you are the gatekeeper of your home. So let's do some training side by side and bring you to that place where you're protecting the walls of your house. So if you're following along, I'm on page 8, and we're just doing a little storytelling, and each night I'm giving you little tips on how I use this in my business. So what I do is I teach my 101 class, and if you're not aware, on the website at oilabilityteam.com, we now have PowerPoints and free scripts and all sorts of things out there that just make it very easy for you to be able to share. As soon as that's done, I send them the textable class and I send them the calendar that goes with that class. So there's a Ningxia calendar for 103 and there's a Thieves calendar for 102. There's a Fearless calendar for 101 for oils. And we're just about to release all the CBD stuff too. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. And then I contact them and I grab the Diamond Rising deck. And we go through the Contact Me card. This one little card is a prospecting funnel. So it's asking them all the questions you don't really have time to normally ask them. And I know some of you guys have asked me to digitize those cards, but the way that I look at it is if you go downstairs, all right, or go into your living room and take all of your DVDs and put them on a computer, How easy would it be for you to be able to find Indiana Jones? Or would you even remember that you have Indiana Jones? So I'm just kind of one of those girls that needs paper pencil. I got to see tangibly in front of me. I got 15 people I haven't done follow up with. Like, I need to sit down and pull 2 or 3 cards out and touch base. Can we still order the older Fearless? Yes. The older Fearless is still on my website, and I think it's discounted too. I think it's even cheaper than the new one is. So I ask them what classes they've been to. 101 Oils, 102 Thieves, 103 Ningxia, 104 CBD. I ask them what their biggest struggle is in their wellness journey. And then I ask them what they're looking for more information on. What do they want to learn about? And we're talking clean living. We're talking that clean living lifestyle. Maybe they want to learn about hormones, sleep, stress, pain, colds and flus, cleaning, supplements, natural personal care products like shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, a whole health wellness plan, makeup, kids and baby care, oils in the bedroom, oils of the Bible, oils in the kitchen, fitness, animals, skincare, nutrition. I love that. Oils as a business. Cleansing and detox, Fearless class. We have a whole Fearless class, by the way. It's up on the website. It's the next step in oiling. Maybe they want to learn about raindrop, emotions, all those things. And so I just check everything that they're interested in. And you know what that does? That gives you like 15 conversations to connect with them, to get them plugged into the next Core 4 class. Oh, you want to learn a little bit about your immune system? Girl, I've got a Thieves class coming up tomorrow. It's an hour. Hop on Zoom with me. Right? Hop on Zoom with me. And so this gives you a talking point to be able to funnel them into those classes. And then why they came to the class. And then this is one of my favorite questions. When contacted for training, I prefer phone calls, texting, email, or social media, Facebook or Instagram. That's great because now you know how they want to be talked to. All right, you know exactly how to reach them. Maybe you've been texting them and they don't even know how to get it. They don't even use texting, right? Maybe you have been Instagramming them and what they really want is a little distance. They just want that text. Maybe they're old school and they just want you to pick up the phone and call them. So maybe they hate it when you call them and it super wigs them out and they're going to run the other way if you call them. So knowing how to contact them is really, really important. And then when I use these at like vendor events, I ask, are they already a Young Living member too? So this is my prospecting funnel. And I just contact them after the class and I say, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if it's something you want to learn. And I check it all in and I put it in my card box and then I pull it out and start doing my follow-up with them and get them into the Core 4 classes. So that's how I'm utilizing the Contact Me cards in tandem with Fearless. So using Fearless and those cards, oh my word. Well, let's just say we're getting ready for a run for Crown Diamond. Like we're like right there. And we haven't been the last 2 years. We've been just kind of holding. And I really believe that if you track your team, you keep your team. If you track it, you keep it, all right? So if you're following along on Fearless, we're just going to do a little storytelling tonight. Those are my business tips is you got to ask the right questions so that you know how to open the conversation and connect with them. And that's why I love the cards because it's just check boxes. Guys, I'm blue. I cannot do something that requires journaling or requires more than like 3 minutes of my time, right? It's got to be fast. It's got to be well organized and I got to be able to get in, do it and get to the next thing. And I can't do that when the follow-up is so intense that it's too hard for me to stick to, right? So this, I just grab a couple of cards and send them a text, touch base with them, say, hey, you check that you want to learn a little bit more about supplements. Do you know I got a Ningxia class coming up next week? Actually, I have a couple of them. What time of day is better for you, morning or evening? See if I can get you plugged into the right one, all right? So I'm going to jump right into Fearless, and we're using some of this time to do some storytelling too, because I want you to see what's in the book and how to draw them in and how to draw them into the clean living lifestyle. Guys, you can throw everything you want at them on the starter kit, but they don't need to be trained on the starter kit. They need to be trained on the lifestyle. All right, they already have the starter kit, already got the kit. They need to know the next thing that they need. They need to know the next swap, right? The next simple swap. And that doesn't happen until they see the necessity of a clean living lifestyle. One thing I get all the time is, I did all this, I did X, Y, Z, and I'm not dead yet, right? Everything's going to kill me. Everything's going to give me cancer. So why do I need to swap all this out? And I say, well, you know what? In the 1970s, my parents brought me home in a dresser drawer. And just because I didn't die because I wasn't in a child seat doesn't mean that's your best choice, right? It's not your best choice. So let me show you how to make your best choice because I want you to have good quality of life. Not taking care of yourself doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to pass away sooner. You might live exactly the same length as you would have if you ate well, but you don't have good quality of life. So let me share a little bit of my story and why I'm so passionate about clean living and why it matters so much and how making a swap literally saved my life. Literally saved my life. I used to be a migraine sufferer. If any of you guys watching this right now used to be a migraine sufferer, give me all of the high fives, all of the hugs, all of the hearts, all of the love, do all the things. I want to see how many of you guys there are out there. I offer the 101 class before Fearless. It just depends. If I'm at a vendor event, no, they're not going to necessarily get the class first because that's not the avenue for me to connect with them. I will utilize Fearless first and then the class. But most of the time, yeah, I'm giving the class and then I give them Fearless at the end of it. So I've gotten my life back because of these swaps that I made in my food and in the stuff that was in my cabinets. Swapping out toxins is not a game. You can't do what you were called to do and what you were created to do if you lose your health. You literally can't do it. You know, I've worked in ministry for 13 years now, 13 and a half years. And, you know, I always feel this amazing purpose, a sense of purpose when I walk in, that I'm doing what I was called and created to do. But I think to myself, you know what? If I don't take care of myself and I'm eating poorly and I'm not getting enough sleep and I'm using the wrong products in my home and I'm exposing myself to poison basically all day long that my liver has to deal with, it doesn't matter how much calling I have to sit in a radio studio or work for ministry or share, you know, the hope of Christ. It doesn't matter if I don't have my health. You can't do anything if you don't have your health, right? So your talents and your gifts and your drive and your creativity and your purpose, they don't mean anything if you're suffering. And the problem is that most people don't make the connection between the way that they feel and the products in their home. And it might be the products in their home they're putting on their skin. It might be what they wash their hair with every day. It might be a hormone disruptor. It might be what they're eating. I mean, it can be a concoction of many different things. I'm not necessarily pinpointing one product, but what I am saying is they don't make that connection, you know, between, I'm doing this, and all of a sudden I'm having joint pain, right? Or maybe not all of a sudden. Maybe it's just a slow build, just slow build. And here's the deal, like your body's a temple. And we get it with everything else. Like we get it with tithing, we get it with all that, but we really don't get it when it comes down to food and the products that we're using, that we are not supposed to be poisoning our body at all. I had my first migraine headache when I was 12 years old, and I bore them for 24 years through the birth of all 5 of my kids, through 20 years of anchoring radio network news at 4 o'clock in the morning. I bore them through 7 hours of homeschooling my kids every single day for 15 years. My migraines would last 10 days on a bell curve every single month following the ebb and flow of my hormone cycle. And they would start with photosensitivity and numbness on one side of my face, and then they would progress to debilitating severe pain down the right side of my body and my hand and my face. And my body responded with tremoring and diarrhea, and my face would droop on one side, and I would drop things that I tried to carry with my right hand. And usually by day 4 or 5, I was curled up into a ball for most of the day. I would get through my shift, I'd come back, start the cycle of vomiting. I'd even throw up in the newsroom, and I'd be gripping my knees, and I'd just be in agonizing pain. I would wake up, I'd anchor news, I'd come home at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. I would stay in a dark room all day long, and I'm just writhing in pain in my bed. I was a non-existent mom for at least 3 or 4 days a month during the worst of it. I mean, they lasted 10, but I could function the first couple and the last couple. Many months I would have my husband drive me to the emergency room for what they called a migraine cocktail. That's a pain medication, an anti-nausea medication, and an anti-inflammatory drug that's given intravenously to try to stop that cycle of vomiting from the pain so that I wouldn't get dehydrated. By the time that I was 30 years old, I'd seen 13 different neurologists. I'd been on 16 different families of migraine medicines, and every single one that I took had a different side effect. Some of them made my throat swell to the point that I had to make a visit to the emergency room. Others made my headaches worse. One time I started a new medicine right before our family went to go see an action movie, and 3 minutes into it, I'm throwing my hands in the air because I thought that the actors were kicking my face. I was hallucinating. We had to leave the theater. Some medicines made me gain 30 or 40 pounds. That's a lot of weight. And my normal weight is like 125, 130 pounds. And so gaining 40 pounds is a lot. And the last group of drugs were narcotics that turned me into a vegetable, where I just slept all day long. I was completely numbed from the pain, and I had no idea what was going on around me. And none of those were good options for me. Once I started doing yearly MRIs, we found something terrible, something that I didn't even know was going on. I thought it was just, I got a bad headache. If I can't stop throwing up, my biggest risk is dehydration, and I just need to go in and get knocked out flat so I don't get dehydrated because I can't stop the throwing up. That's how my body responded with the pain. Every month that I would have a migraine, I learned that the blood vessels on my brain would swell. and they would cause these little tiny pinprick brain bleeds on my brain. And every year I would go in and I would get another MRI scan, and we would compare them from year to year. I mean, year after year after year after year. And every year I had about 30 to 40 new dark black spots on the surface of my brain from the bleeding. I was losing my memory. A lot of it was across my memory receptors, and it was causing traumatic damage. It was causing brain damage. And I mean, the worst thing was that I was at risk for catastrophic stroke at age 30, like the kind of stroke that you don't wake up from, right? The kind that renders you a vegetable or you're gone, that kind of stroke. So what was my diet like? Well, I didn't think it had anything to do with my problem. I just wanted a pill so that I could feel better. I ate like the average American. I had fast food 1 or 2 days a week. I had processed food in my cabinets. I made my kids' food out of boxes and cans loaded with dyes. I warmed up frozen processed meals, frozen pizzas, chicken TV dinners, all that kind of stuff. Your chicken Kievs and all that. That was what I ate. I ate chips. I drank pop. There was one type of pop I liked a lot that I drank 64 ounces of, 3 64-ounce glasses every single day. It was crazy that I stayed the weight that I did, honestly. I fed my kids enriched bread every single day with fake vitamins in it. One of the things that you can look at if you're really trying to swap some of your diet stuff out, get rid of anything that says enriched on the side of it. It's synthetic. It takes the good iron out of your body. It literally sucks it right out of your body. It makes you anemic, does a whole bunch of bad things. You do not want the word enriched on any of your food. I drank pop by the half gallon every single day. I sprayed my counters and my windows and my bathrooms with chemical cleaner, and I mopped my floor with chemicals, and I brushed my teeth with chemicals. You got fluoride in your toothpaste, go do some research on the fluoride in your toothpaste. You don't want, it eats the enamel off your teeth. Not good. I washed my hair with chemicals. I washed my clothes with chemicals. Then I figured all of it was safe. It was safe because it was on a shelf at a store. So it has to be safe, right? When I was 30 years old, the migraines had gotten so bad that I went to a special headache clinic in Rochester, New York, and they did the most comprehensive study that I'd ever had. The doctor wanted me on 6 medications every single day, 1 for pain, 1 for swelling, 1 to break the cycle of vomiting, a steroid, and 2 other medications to counteract the side effects of the first 4 medications. So I got home, and I lined all of the bottles up on my counter, and I did something I never do. I mean, now I'm a total research freak, but back then I was not a research freak, and I definitely rolled my eyes at all the clean living people that were out there. And for just one time, the first time, I questioned what I was being given. Not because the medical community is bad, and not because what they're doing is wrong, but because I didn't have a peace in my gut about taking that much medicine. And so I started researching, and up until that point, I'd really taken everything for face value. If it was in a store, it was safe. If it was on TV, it was safe. For the first time in my life, I started to question everything. And it literally was the first time. I mean, I took everything that I was told to take. Taking pills every 2 hours for the rest of my life to prevent a stroke when I was only 30 years old, and my kids were 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, was really, really daunting. I wanted to be around for my kids. I wanted to make sure that this was the road that I should be taking. And I should tell you guys a little bit, this isn't in Fearless, but I was also born with a bad heart. So my mother has it, my grandfather has it. I've got a valve leak on one of my large valves on my heart. Thankfully, the tricuspid valve, it's not the mitral valve, it's not the heart attack side. But my family, we have heart trouble. And so I'm looking at this medication and I'm like, I've got a level 5 heart murmur, I've got a tricuspid regurgitation, I've got heart palpitations, and I'm taking medicine that's going to blow up my heart. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So the very first medication that I looked up scared the tar out of me because it was a steroid. And there were over 4 pages of warnings that came with it. And most of them were heart related. And I told you a little bit about my health history, right? The tricuspid regurgitation and all that. And so it seemed that if I took the medication with a valve that was backflowing, that I would put myself in a risk category for a heart attack, especially if it was long-term medication. So I took the bottles back to my neurologist and I said, what should I do? And he said, well, if it was me, I'd take the medicine. And I said, well, why? Because I feel like you're having me choose here between a heart attack and a stroke. And he said, well, yeah, if you have a heart attack, you're dead immediately. But if you have a stroke, you're going to be able to watch your kids grow up and you'll never be able to communicate with them. And to me, that would be worse. And I remember looking at him, just kind of sitting there in awe and just looking him in the face, thinking, you're purposely prescribing a medication that you know has a high probability of killing me. That's crazy. And I remember walking out just thinking, who is he to make that decision for me? I want to make that decision. I don't want the doctor making that decision. And so none of the options looked good to me. Like blowing out my heart, that didn't look good at age 30. Having a stroke, that didn't look good at age 30. And so after I met with the neurologist, I contacted a really good friend of mine who had written a great book called Real Fast Food. It's a wonderful little cookbook. And it was about swapping out the food that you eat. I think her book's on Amazon. It's also at trinaholden.com. I asked her what I should do, and she said, Sarah, your diet's terrible. It's awful. And diet is everything. And you know what I did, guys? I rolled my eyes. I'm a news anchor by trade, so I am naturally critical. But I couldn't imagine that changing the way that I ate would stop brain bleeds that I was having at age 30. Everybody ate the way that I ate without visible consequences. And I couldn't live on salads my entire life. And I wanted my water to have flavor, right? I had every excuse in the book, but also I had actually already tried a lot of what she was saying. I had tried to eat well, sometimes for a month at a time, and I didn't see any change. So when you're a migraine sufferer, you have to keep food journals. So I had cut out pop for 6 months at a time, and the migraines were still there. And I'd cut out Chinese food. They were still there. I cut out MSG, still there. Cut out coffee, still there. Cut out preservatives, migraines, still there. It didn't work. Like the diet thing did not work for me. But as I thought it through for weeks, like, what did I really have to do? You know, what did I have to lose if I tried what Trina was telling me to do? I'd already been on nearly every single drug created for migraines. I mean, starting from the time I was 12 years old, and I'm 30 at the time. I'd been a neurologist in multiple states. I'd been to a headache clinic. I'd gone through years of MRIs. I mean, in truth, I was at a dead end. I was in a labyrinth and I'd hit a big brick wall. And so either, you know, this fork in the road I'm standing in front of, either I went the way that I've been trained all of my life and I trusted the system, or I swapped out what I knew and I tried something radically different to try to get rid of the migraines, you know, and just to see if it was worth it. I did not see how something so simple could be the key, but I was willing to give it a try. Because when you're sitting there and you're staring down death's door, and you don't know how long you've got, and the only thing they're telling you is going to save you is also going to kill you, and you're 30 years old and your youngest is 0, you know, how do you make decisions like that? I want you to know, and this is really important to me, that John and I, my husband, we are not against the medical system. I mean, we take our kids for yearly well child checks. There are thousands, and even in the COVID area here, tens of thousands of lives saved every single day by the men and women that are doing surgeries, that are taking care of people. This is just a story of my personal growth. It's my personal path, and it was a choice that I had to make when it was narrowed down. That decision was narrowed down for me to a pile of drugs every 2 hours that would put me in a very dangerous category for heart attack or lifestyle change. So when you sit down and you look at those two options, that was what I was having to face. And I came from a pharmaceutical background. I mean, my whole childhood was pro-pharmaceutical. I'll tell you now, I'm still pro-pharmaceutical, but I'm more pro-preventative maintenance. So if there's something I can do at home that's going to tweak it so I don't put myself in that situation, that's my first choice. It doesn't mean that if my kids break their legs, I'm not going to take them in and go get a cast on their leg. But it does mean I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that their bones are strong, they have good supplementation, right? They're getting enough sleep. All of the preventative maintenance things are very, very important to me. And at this time, they really weren't important to me when I was 30 years old. I believe that medicine serves a very valuable purpose, and there are amazing doctors and nurses on my own team that I trust. I mean, the first 2 months of my business, we signed 2 surgeons to the team. My sister is an RN. My best friend is an RN. So I'm not stating that I distrust the medical system. It's just that when I looked at my options, I didn't have any. I'd already narrowed them down to nothing. I tried everything I could try. So it's my conviction, and it is the road that ultimately led me to oils. I just did not have peace at the only path that seemed like it was open to me. So if you're on medication, I strongly encourage you to speak with your doctor before you're making any changes to what you're doing. But I also hopefully convict you a little bit to question things. Start doing your own research. Start looking things up, right? You make those decisions for yourself. For the very first time in my life, I mean the first time in my whole life, I chose a lifestyle change, which is unheard of for me. I was raised, I told you guys this, I was raised on boxed and canned food, frozen everything. I mean, I don't remember in my childhood getting fresh vegetables. Like everything was out of a can. We had boiled green beans. We did have corn on the cob. I don't really consider that a vegetable. It's like a junk food vegetable, right? But we didn't get salads. We didn't get carrots. We didn't get anything. I mean, it was all out of a can or a box. And so this was a really big shift for me. I mean, a huge shift for me. I had to erase all that I had ever learned. And we're talking 3 decades of learning. Everything I learned about food and everything I learned about chemicals and toxic chemicals, I had to completely erase it. Like a whiteboard, and I had a 10,000 words on it, and I took a dry erase marker and wiped that sucker totally white. Okay. I started with a book called Gut and Psychology Syndrome, and I can pop that book up. I am not friends with the author. I don't make anything off of the sale of the book. It's just part of my journey. And if you're on that journey, maybe this is a book that'll really bless you. The book is called Gut and Psychology Syndrome. It's a yellow book. And it's a diet. It trains on a diet called the GAPS diet, Gut and Psychology Syndrome diet. GAPS is not for everybody. So if you are looking for an end, it's not for everybody. And I am convinced that it is the most masochistic diet out there. And by far, the hardest thing that I have ever done in my life. I mean, I went from Pop-Tarts and sugar cereal and 64 ounces of pop every single day to making my own kefir, water kefir, and growing cultures on my counter and making bone broth out of bones that I had to go find at farmers markets. And like, it was crazy. Like it was so different from the way that I had been raised, but I wanted total gut healing. And Trina told me that if I had healed the gut, that I would heal my head, that the two of those things were interconnected. And so there was this 6-step system for detoxing the body. And I started with bone broth, which was made with organic chickens. It's basically soup. And I know I have a lot of vegetarian friends on this page. I posted about GAPS one time before. And I really took it on the chin from all of my vegan and vegetarian friends about the GAPS diet. I deeply respect your lifestyle decisions, but reciprocate it for me when I tell you this saved my life. And again, I know that this isn't for everybody, but I'm sharing my story tonight because maybe it's going to give somebody a little bit of hope that needs some hope this evening. So there was a 6-step system that I had to follow, and each time I skin tested into the new step. But I started with bone broth, which was made from organic chickens. It was basically soup, and then I advanced to new foods each week, and I skin tested them on my arm to see if my system was ready to handle it. And I had to cut all sugar. 100%. All right. This is like keto on steroids. All right. All sugar, all gluten of all forms. So no gluten-free stuff, 100% gluten-free, and all dairy. And I love dairy. And I love sugar. I really love sugar. I mean, chocolate. Hello, right? I lived on GAPS for 5 full years. The premise of GAPS is that the body is designed to heal itself. But every single day, and I'm telling you this is part of my oil story, and you'll see why. Every single day we're putting things into it that prevent it from healing. It's made to fix itself. You think about getting a cut on your arm heals, right? It does that healing by itself. The body has to stop the healing process and go deal with those things that we're putting into our system every single day, storing them, purging them, or using what they can from them and then trying to push them out through the excretory system. If we remove the foods and the products that make our body work so hard, and we add in fermented foods that help us pull the nutrients out of what we're eating so we heal faster, and then we get on a fantastic probiotic to repopulate all that good gut bacteria that just keeps getting wiped out every time we're on an antibiotic, we've set up the perfect storm for our body to recover and to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, right? I didn't know it then, but that is exactly what oils do. They don't heal the body. I mean, you hear that all the time. This healed me. This healed me. What they do is they set up the perfect storm for the body to heal itself, coming alongside and supporting the body and supporting the systems. It's really neat to see when you look at it scientifically what essential oils do when they hit the human body. So after just 1 month on GAPS, I didn't have any pain. That's huge, guys. I did not remember going 30 days with no pain since I was 12 years old. So that was big. For the first time in 24 years, I went 30 straight days without that debilitating, writhing, grab your knees, retch in your own bed pain of a migraine. Now, the second month that I was on the GAPS diet straight, the numbness and the drooping on my right side of my body was gone. And I never officially had a stroke during all those years of migraines, but I was at elevated risk for one, and I definitely had brain damage, especially over my memory receptors, because of all of those little tiny microbleeds that I kept having. And I once asked the neurologist how I would know if I was going to have a stroke or a migraine, and he said, well, if the migraine goes away and you've lost the function on the right side of your body, you need to get into the hospital as fast as you possibly can, because you've had a stroke, and the sooner you get here, the more we can save of your brain. For more than a decade, I worried every single month if that was going to be the month that I was going to have that catastrophic stroke. And I sat there and I'm looking at my kids and I'm wondering, at 30 years old, I'm wondering, am I going to be able to see my kids grow up? By month 3 on GAPS, every single migraine symptom that I had for 24 years was completely gone. 100% gone. My skin cleared up. The inflammation in my body was gone. I felt like a totally different person simply by changing the way that I ate. It wasn't what I had done before where I cut one food. I cut caffeine. I cut chocolate. I cut MSG. I cut everything. Like I cut everything, right? It was crazy. It has been, July 18th would be 8 years. So 8.5 years now since I've had my last migraine. I completely cured it with food. Totally cure it with food. So for 8 straight years, despite the stress of moving across the country twice, because we just moved down to South Carolina, raising an autistic son, homeschooling all 5 of my kids. We now have 3 graduates and 2 that are still at home homeschooling. The migraines have never returned. They never came back. It wasn't my stress level causing my health problems, which is what all the neurologists told me. If you could just cut something off your plate, I'm like, what? Should I give away my children or quit my job? If I quit my job, I can't feed my children. And if I give away my children, I'm going to end up in prison. So neither of those are good choices. And those are pretty much the only things I do. So I need a little bit of help, right? It wasn't my stress levels causing the problems. It was the things that I was exposed to every single day, willingly, day after day after day. My body had enough and my body rebelled. Now, one thing that GAPS did for me was that it made me a very good label reader. A very good. One lady once read my book, Fearless is what I'm talking to you guys about. And she's like, what on earth qualifies you to be able to talk about the things that you're talking about in Fearless? And I said, well, I don't know. Going from death's door to completely eradicating 24 years of migraines with food alone, I think gives me a little bit of space to speak into reading labels and how important it is to be the protector and the gatekeeper of your home, because I shouldn't be here right now. I shouldn't be here right now. I am 41, almost 42 years old. This was 12 years ago when all of this started with the going to the neurologist and all the stuff, you know. It made me a very good label reader, because when you can't have gluten and you can't have anything that mimics gluten like arrowroot powder. I mean, this is the level I'm reading the labels. I can't have tapioca flour. I can't have potato flour. You get really good at reading the labels at the products you're buying. Can't have cassava root flour. So all the things that people use when they're eating gluten-free stuff. So I pushed it a step farther and I started reading more labels. I wondered if I couldn't handle ice cream or sandwiches, which seems totally harmless. I wanted to know about the dangers of my bright blue dish soap. My family washes their dishes in it and then they eat off of the plates that smell like chemicals. So what's up with the soap with the blue dye in it? I wanted to know about the hazard of my laundry soap that I can still smell. My kids' clothes rub on their skin all day long, being washed in toxic, poisonous soap, and then they breathe the smell of the chemicals from their clothes all night long while they hang in their closet. I can smell the chemicals on people's laundry soap as I pass them when I'm out on runs. You know, I can smell it when I'm walking into the bank. I can smell it in the cubicle next to me. You guys know what I'm talking about. You've had somebody pass you can literally smell the detergent on their clothes. I wanted to know about my counter cleaner, my surface cleaner for my counters. It says poisonous, do not consume, right on the side of the bottle. And I'm using it to sanitize my butcher block, and then I'm chopping strawberries on the same butcher block 3 days later, and the butcher block still smells like all the chemicals that were labeled poisonous by the own manufacturer that made it. We're eating the poison, guys. How safe is that? How safe is it to consume poison? The same is true of my dishwasher soap and my shampoo. I didn't like any of the ingredients that I was reading, and I realized at that point in my GAPS journey that there was a disparity in the way that I was living. I'm sitting here eating this amazing food and not having migraines, which is awesome. It's the food that cured my migraines, because this is way before I started with oils. But I'm sitting here and I'm eating all this good food, and I look up and I see my dish soap with dye in it. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't eat that. Like, I wouldn't eat those ingredients. And yet I am eating them by washing my dishes and then eating off the dishes. And so this is the journey that led me to oils. It's the story that starts after my migraines were eradicated. It's the path that showed me how seriously I need to take clean living. And you might carry this to amazing places. Some of you guys watching this video might be like, all right, I'm done. I'm 100% done. I'm going to go through every cabinet. I'm going to get rid of every single thing that I don't like the label of in my house. I'm going to switch my spaghetti sauce. I've been using it for 20 years. I'm in. I'm all in. Some of you are going to carry it there. You're going to source raw honey. You're going to eat grass-fed beef. You're going to grow kefir. You're going to grow kombucha cultures on your counter and make your own yogurt and cheese. Or maybe you just become a really dedicated oiler and you start looking there. Here's the thing. There's no wrong choice. Every single step you take is a good step. You're not better or worse than somebody who's carried natural health to other places. I want you to rest in the fact that everything you do is good. That's one less poison that you have in your body. And I want you to hear my heart on this because you matter and your family matters. And you may not realize how close you are to a really dangerous place with your health, or how many ailments that are already going on that are interconnected with products in your cabinets or your diet that you've been using for years, for a really long time. It's cumulative in the body. You're like, well, I didn't really feel this way in my 20s, but now I am stiff in the morning. I'm a little achy. One thing I've realized is that everybody's body has a breaking point on how much it's going to tolerate. So for some people, it metastasizes as a migraine, like it did for me, or even daily headaches. For others, it's just indescribable pain or swelling, inflammation. For others, it's skin issues. For others, hormone issues. For some people, it's depression. For others, it's fear and anxiety of things that never scared them before. You don't understand why you're battling anxiety when you didn't 20 years ago. For others, it's the inability to sleep. Your sleep schedule is totally off. You wake up every hour all night long. For others, it's anger. Some people, it's emotional. Some people, it's physical. All of it is your body screaming for help. It needs help. And I'm not saying that every single health issue is linked to a lifestyle of toxic chemicals, but I am saying that if you've been battling something, that may not be a bad place to check. Rule it out, because that simple step changed my life. It changed everything for me. I realized really quickly on my journey that food was only half the equation, and that there were other things that had to change in my home, because every toxic chemical that I eradicated was something that my family was no longer exposed to, and they were worth fighting for. And you're worth fighting for. So let me prepare you for one thing. In this little tiny book, in Little Fearless, I'm not just going to hit on oils. And when you use this as a training tool for your people, we're not just hitting oils. It is 90% oils, but it's not just oils. I'm also going to touch on food a little bit. It's because using an oil to mask a gut problem doesn't work. You're using an oil to try to band-aid a lifestyle decision. The two go hand in hand. You undermine a clean lifestyle if you use oils and eat poorly. If you look at both, then you take steps on each as you feel led. That's when you're going to start seeing changes. So that's where my story with oils begins. I see the value of a toxin-free life, and I learned what it truly meant to pay attention to ingredients, and that's why I can train you to do the same thing. Simply cutting toxic chemicals in our home has led to dramatic weight loss. It's eradicated eczema, sleep issues, nightmares, thyroid issues, and so many other problems. Bedwetting. I had no idea the toxins were the root cause. My kids, they didn't go through puberty till like 13, 14 years old, just about all of them. I have friends whose kids went through puberty between 7 and 9. We don't have any hormones in our meat, not in our dairy. I source everything from farms. All right. So I had no idea, for me, that toxins were the root cause, that they were throwing my system into chaos. It's not about oils fixing things. It's about dangerous chemicals damaging things. That's the perspective I want you to take as you're getting through Fearless. You don't have to feel the way that you're feeling anymore. You just have to make a decision that you don't want to feel that way. And then you have to have the self-control and discipline to do something about it. That's where Fearless starts. You guys enjoying the book? I love sharing my story, and I love telling you guys about my journey and what I did to go chemical free. So it's time to make a change. And that's what we're going to pick up tomorrow night. because I want you to really, really dig into this book and really, really dig into a clean living lifestyle. And I might have scared the tar out of you, like, she doesn't do processed stuff. Like, what? I'm not 100%, guys. I got healed by the GAPS diet. That was 8.5 years ago. I am not on the GAPS diet right now. And so, you can't do anything 100% forever all the time, right? I was on it. It healed my body. I'm off of it. In times where I feel like I need a little leg up, I'll pop back on it again and just sort of reset my gut. Does it mean that I don't grab some ice cream or go out, and grab food out? No, not at all. But I did the hard work and rolled up my sleeves to do the healing. And that was healing that had to be fixed in my body from 30 years of whooping myself and just beating myself up. So tomorrow we're going to talk about making a change and what that looks like, what the whole lifestyle looks like, what this whole oils thing is all about, and how I got led to oils from the GAPS diet, which is really, really cool. But I want you guys to know I am not here to beat you up, and I'm not here to be a voice of conviction in your life. But if I get you to question things, and I get you, even when we finish this training, just to pop off and run and grab any one product in your house. We call it the 3 cabinet challenge on the Oil Ability team. And it stemmed from my battle, during the GAPS diet. But going through 3 cabinets, pull a couple things out, what you're cleaning with, maybe something you haven't gotten rid of yet, shampoo you really love the smell of, whatever, just flip it over. Would you do that for me tonight? Go find one thing and just flip it over and look at what's on the back of the bottle. And ask yourself if you really, really want that in your liver tonight. Just step back and ask, question the stuff in your cabinets, question the safety. Do not take for face value that stuff is okay. Because I got a whole lot of friends going through a whole lot of Lada. And I've got to believe, knowing my story, that a lot of people around me would be feeling so much better if they paid attention to the stuff that was in their house. Whether it's the stuff that you're putting on your skin, breathing in, cooking with, eating, any of that. That plays a part in how you feel. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the second day of Fearless. We're going to jump into day 3 tomorrow. I'm going to go until I get the book done, and I've trained you how to use this as a tool in your business. But right now, the big training I wanted you to get through is to go grab a Diamond Rising deck and make sure that when you are done teaching the classes that you find out what people want to learn more about. And you lead with them. You don't lead with you. You don't lead with your business. You don't lead with the rank you need to hit. You don't lead with them, get the kit. No, just listen to them. Listen to them and put yourself in the place where they are. They're crying out. They need something. Find out what that something is, and you will have a lifelong oiler. Be the person that sees the need. The message is always about meeting the need. That's how your Essential Rewards numbers go through the roof. That's how they go through the roof, is because you've got those eyes and ears to make people feel seen and heard. All right. I love you guys. And I'm going to throw a contest up on the page if you're not watching this live. I'm so sorry. We will be collecting all these little Fearless training videos and doing this little Fearless boot camp on my website. So we'll start gathering those videos tomorrow and putting them up. But we'll do day 3 tomorrow. And then you guys are going to laugh at this, but I'm going to go on vacation for a couple days. So I'm just going to stop training right in the middle of the week. And you know what's awesome about Young Living? We can do whatever we want, right? So I'm throwing my sons in the car and we're going to the ocean and we're just going to sit on a beach for 3 days and just enjoy it a little bit and take some downtime. And then next week, after Mother's Day, after you guys have all been loved on, we'll pop back in and we'll go as long as we need to. If we need 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, I don't know. It depends how many awesome questions you guys ask and if I feel like I thoroughly trained you on how to use this as a tool. But I pray that tonight was a blessing for you and maybe a little bit convicting. I'm not talking about perfection, and I'm not trying to paint myself as somebody who's perfect. Lord knows I'm not even close to perfect when it comes to a clean living lifestyle. But I do know that I've made enough changes that I can see when something is askew that I need to pay attention to and have the self-control and discipline to say, you know what, that choice just isn't worth it for me. It's just not. So I love you guys. Have an awesome night. I'll see you tomorrow for Fearless. And then I'm going to go on vacation in the middle of our training. I hope that's okay with you guys. I'm taking rest. And this Blue Red doesn't take rest very often. So I'm going to go away for a few days and then we'll pick back up after Mother's Day. And if you're watching this and it's not live, shoot, you got it easy. You just got to go down to the video right under this one. Just click on that and you can watch it. You don't have to wait for me to go on vacation. So love you guys. If you are on right now, go pop over and go see what my contest is on the Facebook page. All right. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.